In the suffocating darkness of a Maryland plantation, a little girl named Araminta Ross was born. She looked up at the same stars we see today, but for her, they were not symbols of wonder, but silent witnesses to a life of bondage. This was the world of Harriet Tubman, a world built on the stolen labor and broken spirits of her people. From her earliest days, the lash of the whip and the constant threat of being sold away from her family were her harsh teachers. She learned the bitter taste of powerlessness, the ache of injustice that settled deep in the bones. But within this small, often frail body, a fire was kindled. It was a stubborn, unyielding spark of defiance, a refusal to accept that her soul belonged to another. This was the crucible that forged not just a survivor, but a savior. Her own journey to freedom was a terrifying leap into the unknown. The year was 1849. The nights were long, the air thick with the baying of bloodhounds and the ever-present fear of the slave patrols. Every rustle in the underbrush, every snapped twig, could mean capture, torture, or death. Guided only by the North Star and the whispered directions passed along a secret network, Harriet walked nearly 100 miles. She waded through icy rivers that numbed her to the core, slept in hollow logs with spiders and snakes as her only companions, and fought off the gnawing pangs of hunger with whatever scraps she could find. When she finally crossed the line into the free state of Pennsylvania, a profound wave washed over her. The sun felt different. The air tasted of possibility. She was free. But this personal victory felt hollow, incomplete. Her family, her friends, her people, were still in chains. And in that moment of glorious, lonely freedom, a resolution took root in her heart, a promise that would define the rest of her life. She would go back. This was the birth of Harriet Tubman as Moses, the most famous conductor on the Underground Railroad. The name was whispered in reverence in the slave quarters, a beacon of hope in a world of despair. Returning to the South was not just risky, it was a dance with death. She was a fugitive with a bounty on her head. A woman navigating a landscape where every white face could be an enemy and every shadow could conceal a betrayer. Yet, she went back, not once, not twice, but an estimated 13 times. She was a master of disguise, a brilliant strategist who knew the woods, the swamps, and the secret paths better than the men who hunted her. She moved under the cloak of night using spirituals as coded messages to signal her arrival, to warn of danger, to guide the lost. Songs like Go Down Moses were not just hymns, they were maps to liberation, sung softly in the fields. Her leadership was absolute, forged in the crucible of shared peril. The groups she led were a cross-section of humanity, old men, pregnant women, and small children who had to be carried in silence for miles. The journey was an ordeal of body and spirit. Fear was a constant companion, a cold presence that threatened to paralyze them. In these moments, Harriet's resolve was like steel. She carried a pistol, not just for protection against slave catchers, but to fortify the courage of her flock. There could be no turning back. A weary soul threatening to return would endanger everyone. Her command was simple and unwavering: you'll be free or die. It was a hard law, but it was the law of survival. Through her unshakable will, she held them together, her own faith a shield against their despair. She was their commander, their nurse, and their spiritual guide, pushing them forward when their bodies gave out, reminding them of the prize that awaited. Over a decade, she personally guided more than 70 men, women, and children out of the abyss of slavery. She never lost a single passenger. Her resilience was legendary. She suffered from narcoleptic seizures, a result of a severe head injury inflicted by an overseer in her youth. At any moment, without warning, she could fall into a deep sleep. Yet, even this did not stop her. Her fellow travelers would stand guard over her, protecting their protector until the spell passed, their loyalty a testament to the powerful bond she forged. She faced down slave catchers, outsmarted bloodhounds, and navigated the treacherous political and physical landscapes of a nation tearing itself apart over the sin of slavery. Each successful mission was a victory, a defiant act that chipped away at the foundations of an evil institution. The end of the Civil War did not mark the end of Harriet's fight. Freedom was more than the absence of chains, it was the presence of opportunity, dignity, and community. She continued to serve, working as a nurse, a scout, and even a spy for the Union Army, becoming the first woman to lead an armed expedition in the war. In her later years, she channeled her tireless energy into caring for the sick and the elderly, establishing a home for aged and indigent people of color. Her spirit of sacrifice never waned. She had risked her life countless times for the freedom of others, and now, in peace, she dedicated her life to their well-being. Her own needs were always secondary to the needs of her community. She was a living embodiment of moral leadership, a woman who sought no power for herself but used her immense strength to empower everyone around her. The story of Harriet Tubman is not just a tale of historical heroism, it is a profound lesson in the nature of human courage and the boundless power of a single, committed soul. She was born into a world designed to crush her, yet she rose to become a liberator. She walked through the valley of the shadow of death and feared no evil, for she was driven by a purpose greater than her own life. She showed us that the deepest held convictions must be matched by action, that faith without works is meaningless. Her legacy is etched not in stone monuments, but in the generations of families who exist because she dared to walk back into the darkness. She reminds us that the fight for justice is a perilous journey demanding sacrifice, unwavering resolve, and a love for humanity so fierce it can light the way through the darkest of nights. True freedom is a flame we carry for others, not just ourselves.